Hello dear learners, welcome back to your English class. Today we will continue the reading of chapter 2, Feathered Friend. But before than that, let's have a short recap. In our previous lecture, we read that Sven Olsen had smuggled a bird up on the last ferry from the Earth. When he returned back to the space station from the Earth, after a long leave, he took a bird canary along with him because he just wanted to see that how a bird would operate if it had no weight but could still use its wing. So this we have read in our previous lecture, and now we will continue the reading of the next part. Caribou thrived and grew healthy. On the whole, we had little trouble concealing our unauthorized guests when VIPs from Earth came visiting. A space station has more hiding places that you can count. The only problem was that Claribel got rather noisy when she was upset. So the Claribel thrived, it adopted to the environment of the space station and it grew healthy. But there was a big challenge before the astronauts, that how to conceal or how to hide the unauthorized guests, that is the canary, from the VIPs. VIPs means very important persons, and the synonym for VIP could be bigwig, BIGWIG, that is known as very important person. So the bigwigs coming from the Earth, it was very difficult for the astronauts to hide canary at that time. Though they have a number of or ample places where they could hide the bird, but the main problem was that Claribel used to get noisy. It made a lot of noise with its shrill voice when it was upset. We sometimes had to think fast to explain the curious peeps and whistles that came from ventilating shafts and storage bulkheads. So what is the meaning of ventilating shafts? Ventilating shafts is a place to provide space for fresh air or a ray or beam. So that is for the cross, what you can say, where you can get the fresh air inside the space station. And storage bulkhead means these are the walls that divide the inside of an aircraft. So it was very difficult for them to explain from all of a sudden where that noise, that shrill noise had come. There were a couple of narrow escapes, but then they would dream of looking for a canary in a space station. We were now on 12-hour watches, though of course there is no day and light when we are floating in permanent sunlight. It was still convenient to stick to the terms. Certainly when I woke up that morning, it felt like 6 a.m. on Earth. I had a nagging headache and vague memories of fitful disturbed dreams. So they were now on the 12-hour watches. There was no discrimination of day and night in the space station, and it was just seeming that they are floating in the permanent sunlight. It was convenient for the astronauts, or it was suitable for them to stick to the terms. And when one day the narrator woke up early in the morning, it appeared to him, it felt him like that it is 6 a.m. on the Earth. I had a nagging headache. That day, the narrator did not feel well. He just felt like suffering from a headache and vague memories. Vague memories means which is not clear, which is blur or which is not clear, of fitful disturbed dreams. Sometimes it happens when we don't have a peaceful sleep at night. So because of some nightmares or some bad dreams, and these dreams do not remain in our memory for a longer period of time. As soon as we wake up, we partially, or sometimes we even don't remember what we have seen in the dream. So if that dreams continue for a short periods of time, and if you had a disturbed sleep at night, so ultimately when you wake up early in the morning, you don't feel good, and it could be a nagging headache. The similar situation happened with. Now the question comes, why do you think there is no night and day in space? So there is no discrimination between night and day in space. The reason behind that is that they are not on earth, they are in the space, and they are not revolving around the sun. And if they are not revolving around the sun, the question of causing day and night does not occur. So that's why there was no discrimination between day and night in space. It took me ages to undo my bunk straps, and I was still only half awake when I joined the remainder of the duty crew in the mess. Breakfast was unusually quiet, and there was one seat vacant. It took me ages means the narrator took some time, a little time, to undo his bunk straps. Bunk is a kind of bed where the space is congested. You may find a bed and above it another sleeper, like you may have seen in the trains too. So that is known as bunk. Such kind of the beds you will find in kids room. You may find in kids room. I was still only half awake. The narrator was not fully conscious. He was still in a sleepy state when he received a reminder of the duty crew in the mess. The breakfast was unusually quiet. There was some unusual quietness or suddenness at the breakfast table, and there was one seat which was lying vacant. "Where is Sven?" I asked. The narrator put a question. "Where is Sven?" "He is looking for Clarabelle," someone answered. "Says he can't find her anywhere. She usually wakes him up." Someone replied him that he's looking for means he's searching for Clarabelle. He could not find her anywhere, and it is the Clarabelle or the canary who used to wake him up in the morning. Before I could retort that she usually woke me up too, Sven came in through the doorway. Before the narrator could reply that it was not only Sven, but also him who was used to wake up by the call or the sound of the canary, Sven came in through the doorway. We could see at once that something was wrong. By looking at him, they could guess that something was terribly wrong. He slowly opened his hands, and there lay a tiny bundle of yellow feathers with two clenched claws sticking pathetically up into the air. So when they looked closely at his hands, they could see that there was a tiny bundle of yellow feathers. Whose feathers were these? These were the feathers of canary, and two clenched. Clenched means closely, close tightly, close, which were sticking pathetically means miserably up in the air. That means something terribly had happened to the canary. Can you make a guess what could have happened to the canary? Maybe she was not fine. Maybe she was dead. Maybe she was not able to breathe freely. So there could be any reason for this pathetic condition of the canary. What happened? We asked, all equally distressed. All were dumbstruck to see the condition of the canary, and they were highly upset and worried, and they asked Sven what had happened. "I don't know," said Sven mournfully. "I just found her like this." Sven replied them sorrowfully, mournfully, or regretfully that he did not know what had happened to the canary. He had just found her like that. We all waited in hushed silence while he held Clarabelle against his ear in an attempt to detect any heartbeat. So everyone stood there motionless. They stood there in hushed silence means quietly and seriously, and Sven took Clarabelle very close to his ear in order to hear the heartbeat of the bird, to detect whether there is any heartbeat or not. Presently he shook his head. "I can't hear anything, but that doesn't prove she is dead." He nodded his head that he could not hear the heartbeat of the bird, but he further said that it didn't mean that the bird was dead. She was dead. "I have never listened to a canary's heart," he added rather apologetically, and he said regretfully that he had never listened that or heard about the canary's heartbeat, so he could not comment on that. "Give her a shot of oxygen," suggested somebody, pointing to the green banded emergency cylinder beside the door. Everyone agreed that was an excellent idea. Claribel was stuck snugly into a face mask that was large enough to serve as complete oxygen tent for her. Then somebody suggested just quickly put her on a shot of oxygen, and he pointed towards the cylinder, emergency cylinder, which was kept there beside the door. Everyone agreed to this, what you can say, wise suggestion. It was an excellent idea. Claribel was tucked snugly. Snugly means warmly and comfortably into a face mask. You may have seen the mask, oxygen mask. The similar way they have put that mask on the canary's or Claribel's face, and that was large enough. That was a mask, what you can say, suitable for the human beings, not for the canary. That's why it was too large enough for the bird, and it served as a complete tent, oxygen tent for the canary. I think this is sufficient for the day. Let's see what had happened to the canary, whether the astronauts could save her or not. That we would be discussing and reading in our next video. Till then, read the chapter again and complete the assignment in your fair notebook. Bye. Have a great day.